Domestic violence is a national crisis. 1 woman a week and 1 man a month are killed by a current or former partner. On those figures, half a dozen Australians won't live to see Christmas. Tonight we're on the beat with police, whose job it is to save those lives.
It's ugly.
Stop! No! Don't resist!
Let it go!
Don't resist, all right?
Disturbing.
You're wanted for an assault as well.
Assault?
Yep, you're under arrest.
My kids are here.
And confronting.
Oi! Settle down.
Get the off me!
And all this with children looking on.
Stop! Don't make it worse.
But it is the harsh reality of tackling domestic and family violence.
These orders are not just a piece of paper, it's about making sure that people don't assault, intimidate, stalk, and we want to make sure that happens.
The offender's got some warnings. He's got an extreme hatred for police. He's known to carry weapons. He's also known for firearms as well. Basically, a rundown of the offences is that he strangled her before throwing her onto the bed, pulling her hair out and ripping her earring out of her ear.
Police came here looking for a man wanted for that alleged attack. Instead, they found his sister.
She's got under arrest as well. She's wanted for DV offences.
Domestic violence matters too, involving the same victim.
For a cop, it's like walking a fine line of traumatic anguish while at the same time upholding the rule of law.
Once we got the wedding ring on my finger, everything changed. Everything changed. That's when the verbal abuse started.
Carol Silk is a victim of domestic violence.
He liked to throw things at me. He used to pelt things at my head. I'd duck. He'd push me. He used to push me and shove me a lot.
We're doing an AVO compliance check today.
It's really hard for junior, albeit very competent police to be knocking on doors, of mums and dads, coming into houses where, often, unfortunately, there's children being innocent victims that are in these houses. And it's very sad and it's very traumatic on the police officers to witness this.
You're going to fly up, so I'll take them off. You're not?
It's a big part of a police officer's job, domestic and family violence, and it's also a very complex part of their work as well.
He's ran at me. He's thrown me up against the wall. And he had his hands like this, and he kept pressing harder and harder, and he kept saying, "Take it, take your last breath, take it." And he wouldn't stop. He wasn't going to stop.
You are obviously still traumatised by what happened.
Simon, I could feel myself going. I really could.
Carol was married to this man, Danny Silk.
I met Danny, a younger, good-looking man. Charmed the socks off me, he really did.
Mr Silk, are you a violent man?
I'm not. I've already wrote an apology letter, so that's all I need to say.
You might be going to jail though, Mr Silk.
I still have nightmares.
This is what Carol's ex-husband did to her.
He went both hands, bang, bang. I ended up a big bruise here.
Last week, a magistrate locked Danny Silk up for a minimum 8 months. It was the 7th time the matter had been before the courts.
Oh my God, I'm so relieved. We finally got justice. I honestly didn't think that I wasn't going to get any justice, but we've got justice today, finally. Thank God.
It's a massive problem, and unfortunately it's a very underreported crime as well.
New South Wales Assistant Commissioner Mark Jones.
So the stats alone would tell us, we have, tens of thousands of reports of domestic violence every year, but unfortunately there are so many more that simply aren't reported to police, and that's a big problem for us.
Mark Jones is spearheading the police response to domestic and family violence. Just last week, Commissioner Mick Fuller was front and centre at the inaugural Australasian Police Domestic Violence Forum.
What does the domestic family violence offender look like? How do they profile? How do we work out who the next offender is going to be?
Part of the police response has been the rollout of the high-risk domestic violence teams. Their job, to target the worst of the worst.
It's about domestic violence. So they're out there, every day of the week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, targeting high-risk domestic violence offenders.
Remember, guys, officer safety, number one. Call off on the radio.
A current affair joined the front line, the high-risk domestic violence teams fighting the good fight on the New South Wales Central Coast. This is Operation Cobra. The aim, to hold perpetrators accountable and ensure victims, known as pin-ops, persons in need of protection, are backed up by police.
Just check that the defendant's abiding by the conditions of the AVO, and also that the pin-op knows that we're there and we're checking on the defendant to make sure they're doing the right thing.
And there is no shortage of doors to knock on.
Not yet, so he's due home later, is he?
A snapshot of Australian domestic violence murders has revealed there were 152 domestic violence homicides between 2010 and 2014. Nearly 80% involved a man killing his former or current female partner. 20% involved a woman killing her current or former male partner.
We heard the screaming, and then I said someone's getting bashed. I ran down there and said call the cops.
Just last week, 63-year-old Marie Van Beers was stabbed to death, allegedly by her partner of 37 years.
Long-term relationship, a lady in her 60s, had been separated for a couple of years. My understanding, there was an apprehended domestic violence order in place.
The restraining order had been taken out 24 hours earlier.
It's just a constant reminder there is much more work to do in this space.
Female officer may be close.
Just your hands out in front of me.
It's not just men who are being targeted in Operation Cobra.
So have you got anything on you that's going to hurt me, or any needles or anything like that?
Whatsoever.
No, okay.
This woman was picked up. She had allegedly breached an AVO.
This stage you're under arrest for breaching your AVO.
This bloke knew the police were coming.
I'm going to ask you some questions. You don't have to say or do anything if you don't want to. Anything you do say, I will record and can be used as evidence in court. Do you understand that?
He was wanted on a warrant.
There's an AVO between him and his ex-partner. He's breached the AVO, intimidation, and that's why we're here.
But it's all about victim protection. It's not about anything other than making sure the victims are safe and doing as much as we possibly can to ensure that safety.
Statistically, police claim domestic violence figures are dropping.
Importantly, victim surveys would tell us as well that victims are also still comfortable reporting. So it's not as if victims are less comfortable to report. They're still comfortable to report, and the figures are going down. But having said that, I'll say it again, we know domestic violence is an underreported crime.
So there is no room for complacency.
And it's all about preventing crime, not just reacting. In this case, it's really about doing the best we can to prevent further crimes.
And the message is clear.
If they do breach those orders, well, we're there to arrest and charge and put them back before the court.
If I can give any advice to anyone, do it. Come forward. Don't put up with it. You need to speak up. You need to reach out to somebody and tell them this is not okay.
Danny Silk appealed his sentence and was released on bail last week without spending any time behind bars. He returns to court in April.